So the market changes. The market changed, rents began to stagnate. So not only is there an increase in the interest rates, but now the rents are stagnating. So therefore, those value adds that people had dialed in weren't there anymore. As a matter of fact, rents in 74 or 73% of the markets, rents declined last quarter. So the value adds aren't there anymore. So from there, stagnant rents means there's lack of value to do repairs. Okay, lack of value to do repairs means repairs aren't getting done. When repairs aren't getting done, you get tenant turnover. Who do you lose first? You lose your best tenants first because they're not going to put up with that. If you're not familiar with this, the lack of response to maintenance requests is the #1 reason that somebody will leave your property. If you're not familiar with that, write that down. It's not a rental increase. It's the lack of response. And the people that leave first are your best tenants. And when you're not doing the maintenance, you're not going to get the same quality tenant back. Your tenant profile starts to suffer. So from there, investors at this point, not only did they not get their first disbursement, but that was expected, or maybe they expected a little bit, but now they're not getting their second disbursement. And then maybe they don't get their third disbursement. So the syndicator has a decision. Are they going to fund this property? Some syndicators will, from embarrassment. They don't want to go for a capital call for their investors. They'll kick that can down the road as long as they can, especially the newest syndicators that are out there. This latest breed of syndicators that we've seen. We've seen an explosion of multifamily investing education, which is awesome. The more people that learn about multifamily investing, the more lives that are changed. But what it's done is most of those people that are teaching now, I know most of them because most of them came through our program, which is great, and I'm proud of all of them. But most of them are first market cycle. It's a first market cycle, and they did really, really well, which is great. But they hadn't gone through the downturn. They hadn't gone through the everything I touch turns to gold period, which we all do. Next cycle, they'll be even better investors, which is good. So the syndicator, so some of them, whether they're teaching or not, it's uh-oh, we're in trouble. Now what are we going to do? Communication starts to lag for their investors. And then there's a decision. Do we fund this property ourselves, or do we go to the investors for the money? So they don't talk to the investors about the problems, which is the biggest mistake you can make. Because the communication that you have with your investors, especially when things are going wrong, when you talk with them, and even though you should set up your LLCs, your private placement memorandums, so that you have control of absolutely everything, you still bring your investors in for the decisions. You still make them feel like they're a part, and a lot of times you'll get good input from them, so they are a part of it. But make them feel part of the process. And when you make them feel part of the process, even though you may have a problem with the property, and even if that problem gets even worse, at least you'll have communicated with them, you have brought them in, and if a worst-case scenario happens, and that property doesn't get the returns expected, you may have to give the property back to the bank. Whatever happens, they're still good with you because you opened your communication. The worst thing you can do is stop the communication and have them wondering what's going on. And then before you know, when you get investors into a good deal, they tell everybody what a great deal they got into, how much money they made. They're bragging and they're boasting. You get somebody into a deal and you're not communicating with them and that deal's not going good, they're telling everybody too. So you can decide which way you want to go. So just know this from 4 market cycles. And making mistakes myself, this is like best practices. So from there, property starts to lose value. Capital is needed. Syndicator requests capital from the investors. The investors aren't happy because now they have to put up capital. When you request capital from your investors, you know what's going to happen? They're not all going to give it. Like 25% of them, if that, between 20 and 25%, will have the ability to give capital. Because for a lot of people, they just don't have the funds. Or if they think the property is sinking, they don't want to put good funds behind bad funds. So now the bridge loan debt comes due. The rates have increased from 3.5 to about 6. They're about 6 right now. And then it's impossible to refinance. So I like to say, at a low tide, inexperienced investors are exposed. And people, I heard it for like the last number of years. I was happy. My kids were born in 2018. I was happy to take to step aside, knowing that we're near the end of this cycle. There's a rest time. This is like my fourth cycle, right? I run hard 3 cycles. I realize that, man, when it's go time, it's go time. In the next 2 to 5 years of your life, you're out there making as much as you can, doing as many deals as you can. And it's exhausting. It's really hard work. But you're making more than you ever made in your entire life, so you're happy doing the work. And then you get to rest. And you rest, and you start following other passions you might have. For me, it was raising a family. Still monitoring the market, still doing one-off deals, still waiting.